With free agency well on its way, today we're going to recap each move the Vikings have done thus far in free agency and kind of go over how each one has impacted the team, and then more importantly, have the Vikings gotten better or worse so far in free agency. So let's start from the very top. The first thing the Vikings had to do is make money. I've already kind of gone over this, so it won't take too long, but the Vikings had to cut both Riley Reiff and Kyle Rudolph, which really headlined all the veteran moves the Vikings had to make. Cutting Reiff definitely just makes the Vikings worse. Losing even an above average left tackle is hard to replace right away. So even if this might kind of help the growth of Cleveland, the Vikings definitely 2021 are going to be going in with a worse left tackle. And then tight end, Rudolph, losing him isn't as big of a deal. This basically just frees up more playing time with Irv Smith, which is very cool. We get more of an athletic tight end out there, and then Tyler Conklin's more than good enough as well. It's going to be weird to see Rudolph playing with the Giants, though, as he would have been definitely a guy that would have been really nice to see retire a Viking, but it's kind of the way it goes. Hope he has a decent year or whatever with the Giants. And then we also cut Dan Bailey, which definitely didn't make the Vikings worse because how bad he was at the end of last year was like his leg fell off. But yeah, there he is. We got worse with Reiff, probably got a little bit better cutting Rudolph, and then hopefully we'll get better with Dan Bailey. It's hard to get worse than what he was. And then going into kind of the meat and potatoes of free agency, the Vikings started it off by signing what they call their biggest want in free agency, and that is defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson from the New York Giants. So this one, kind of a two-parter, very interesting, kind of controversial in the fan base as well. So what the Vikings got is definitely an upgrade over Shamar Stephen, who we'll get to in a little bit. He is an elite run-stuffing defensive tackle, which what we kind of already had in Michael Pierce, who opted out last year due to COVID. So with both of those coming back, the Vikings fans should hope or even expect a top 5 run defense next year. Should be one of the best, with Tomlinson and Pierce being elite run stuffing defensive tackles. They don't let interior linemen get to the second level and block linebackers out of the play. So this should let Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr absolutely run wild. And Vikings don't need to put the extra safety in the box. We do all this other stuff. So our run defense should be super, super good. We shouldn't have, an Alvin Kamara-like game anytime in the near future. So our run defense should definitely just got a huge shot in the chest and should be much better next year. Passing defense, not as much better. I think probably a little bit better than what Shamar gave us. But getting after the quarterback, if it isn't Dalvin Tomlinson's thing, he isn't that penetrating defensive tackle that I wanted at 3-tech, but he does give us a little bit of pressure in the middle of the defense. Pro Football Focus gave him kind of serviceable pressure percent rates last year, and his grades were fine, but you could definitely do better as a penetrating defensive tackle standpoint. So look for guys like Hercules Mataafa to maybe be in play for kind of a third down specialist for the interior defensive line. But this does indirectly help the passing game quite a bit, I think. So if you stuff the run more so on first and second down and force those third and longs, that will force those longer developing pass plays where your defense will have an easier time getting after the quarterback. If you can double team one of the corners, get to that second read, that takes a little bit longer to get to, and the Vikings can get pressure to get sacks, force those inopportune passes. Maybe they'll get interceptions or batted balls off those. So it will indirectly help the passing game, and the linebackers can get freed up, play more deep zone. Linebackers could really almost play pass first, which would be kind of a different change of pace, and you'll be able to play more, two safeties deep instead of having a safety come in the box. So it'll be interesting to see how much that really affects the pass defense, but I do think it will at least incrementally, indirectly help more than it would directly help. But I think that is definitely a good move. And then the corresponding move was cutting Shamar Stephen, and this is just a W right out the bat. We got better. It's pretty simple. We cut and dry. We got better. Shamar Stephen's horrible, and Tomlinson is better than him. The only argument you can make, like I said, is this is kind of an overcorrection for a problem last year. Would just having Michael Pierce come back this year give you just about as much as getting him and Tomlinson back. You're kind of getting diminishing returns perhaps in the run game, and then passing game's not much better. But hey, I will take what we got. We got better at defensive tackle. That one is an absolute W. Moving on to our second big free agency acquisition was signing Patrick Peterson. My goodness, this one should be huge. So, in my kind of dream free agency video, I went over 3 veteran quarterbacks I would like to get in the Vikings next year. And third place was Xavier Woods coming back. Maybe he can have a kind of a resurgence here, kind of like we did against the Colts. 2 would be Richard Sherman, and number 1, Patrick Peterson, and that's the one that Vikings thought was the best as well. Boy, so good. But what Patrick Peterson gives at the very least is average starting cornerback play that will be a very good mentor for both Gladney and Cam Dantzler. So that alone is worth kind of the overpaid price tag for the 1-year deal that he got. But at the most, he gives us that resurgence, Mike Zimmer special, all-pro caliber year that could really take our defense to the next level, allowing one side of the field to be shut down, and then Cam Dantzler and a safety to shut down the other receiver, and Gladney can kind of hold his own with a third guy, and the Vikings will be very well off in pass defense. And if he gets somewhere in between, the Vikings absolutely get their value out of Pat Peterson. So I am definitely happy with this move. But the Vikings, kind of the corresponding move to this one was not being able to re-sign Anthony Harris. Now this one, when you saw the deal he got with the Eagles, it was kind of surprising that the Vikings couldn't match him because he really got a really bargain deal over there. So losing Anthony Harris is going to suck, definitely, for sure. But getting Patrick Peterson instead, I think, is better because cornerbacks, more useful. And like I said, just getting that veteran presence for our young guys out there is going to benefit more than just having a really good safety. And maybe we couldn't bring Anthony Harris back because maybe he didn't want to be second fiddle to Harrison Smith in the safety room. Maybe that was the case. And he wants to be able to make a name for himself on a true team where he'll be the safety. So maybe that's the case. But, now all of a sudden our safety room is extremely bleak. It's Harrison Smith and basically like a cobbleweed in the back blowing around in the distance. So the Vikings will probably get a veteran safety yet in free agency, and then maybe a safety or 2 in the draft because we definitely need the depth and one more starting caliber safety. And again, the Vikings like the 3 safety sets, so maybe they'd like to get 2 guys still that we'd be able to start or at least get significant playing time very early on. But there we go. I think this one's a slight W, not as easy as the Tomlinson pick because Anthony Harris does hurt. But there we are. Let's move on to some of these more lower tier signings. Starting off with Nick Vigil. It's kind of a depth linebacker signing. Not going to bring a whole lot of splashiness to the team. Not exactly good, but depth signing. Why not? Sure. But the Vikings did. Will most likely lose Eric Wilson. So this one does suck. I do think Wilson's better than Vigil, and especially with how good the Vikings run defense should be. Wilson could really thrive in it. Wilson's not good. That's kind of an understatement. He sucks against the run. Wilson sucks against the run, but he's extremely good against the pass. So when you can let 2 linebackers take care of the run, and he can just kind of be the floater guy to take care of the play action pass, I think he would have really thrived in the kind of the defense the Vikings are setting up here. So I think that is an L if we aren't unable to sign Wilson, and we're just going with Vigil as kind of the utility backup linebacker guy, might be the third linebacker on the field. So that one's an L. Next is bringing back Stephen Weatherly. The Vikings signed Stephen Weatherly back, which is kind of cool. He was kind of a solid rotational defensive end. But the corresponding move was not re-signing Fidio Donabo, who got very much about the same deals. So very interesting that the Vikings, from all intents and purposes, just signed the worst guy. So I think this is just another pretty clear-cut L. And then the kind of the fun move, right, recently before recording this video, is the Vikings traded a 6th-round pick to the Cardinals for their center, Mason Cole, who is a bad offensive lineman, but he's better than Dakota Dozier. So a W. We aren't going to get elite play out of him or even probably good play, but he's probably good enough to be the Vikings guard as of right now. So I'd say that's fine. And if not, he still provides good depth and probably better than any 6th round pick we would get unless we get that home run Tom Brady pick. And then the Vikings did re-sign a couple of veteran players, including Rashad Hill, which definitely is a really big W. Getting him back is always really good. Swing tackles are very important, especially with losing Riley Reef. Then kind of some random ones, including Chad Beebe, which kind of why he provides decent depth at receiver, I guess, and he can return punts and pretty good at fumbling punts too. So sure, we can always have a good punt fumbler on the team. That's fine. And then Amir Abdullah, who's a little bit better than Chad Beebe, especially since we lost Mike Boone. So he's definitely inked in as kind of the running back 3 at this point, and he's kind of a poor man's Dalvin Cook. So if Cook does get hurt, he would be able to do those same type of outside zones, just fine with that. Be kind of the reverse what we usually do with the Thunder and Lightning with Cook and Madison. Instead of Madison being the Thunder on the first downs, and we could rotate Abdullah in as kind of that spell back in those situations. So he's fine, but would he be able to get about the same level, competence of a backup running back late in the draft or as an undrafted rookie, find another Mike Boone or something? Probably. But hey, it wasn't even a big contract or anything, so if we do, we can still cut him, and it's no big deal. But there we have it. Or as we thought, but those sneaky bastards, the Minnesota Vikings, Rick Spielman, almost tried to slide some news under the table while I was uploading this video, but I caught it just in time. But so the Vikings have re-signed former Viking Mackenzie Alexander, and my God, this is huge. So the Vikings not only added Patrick Peterson already, but we added Mackenzie Alexander. All of a sudden now we have depth across the board at corner, night and day from last year, who's starting corners like Mike Hughes and Holton Hill. Oh my God. So we have future Hall of Famer, perennial All-Pro Patrick Peterson, and then Dantzler, and then Gladney, now Mackenzie Alexander, now Mike Hughes, who was a starting corner last year's cornerback 5, and might not even make the team because he can't stay healthy. So, alright, this video is literally sitting on YouTube, ready to be published, and then the Xavier Woods news dropped. So, the Vikings also have signed former Cowboys safety Xavier Woods. So Woods, what I see in him is kind of like a better version of Jaron Kearse. And for long followers of mine, I know I was a big fan of the football player, Jaron Kearse. And I get a really good in-the-box safety, kind of that tight end, middle-of-the-field neutralizer. And I think he's going to be a very good force to our secondary. So before in this video, which and recording real time for me is about 14 weeks ago, Patrick Peterson was kind of compared to the Anthony Harris, and now we have another safety instead. So just basically W's across the board. So get to the final end question of this video, and pretty easy. The Vikings absolutely have won free agency, a little bit bumpy early on, but boy, it really turned up towards the end. So I can't wait for the Vikings to make some blockbuster deal, probably by 8 in the morning tomorrow. So this video is irrelevant already. I can't wait, but no more. This video is getting sent out. So hope you guys enjoyed whatever new crazy stuff that Spielman does. And we'll see you guys in the next Jersey Vikings video. Bye.